Welcome back to the podcast. There are many things that I will continue to repeat. Everything that you have heard in these first few episodes, you will hear again, chances are. I will repeat them because we will layer things into our mind to be able to become conscious of the things that we need to know and the things that will help us change who we are in our essence. Changing how we think to change how we feel will change our essence. People will look at you and think something about you is different. Wow, you're looking better. And they won't know why. Because when your essence changes, everything about you changes. And you look brighter to the world. So the process of this is going to be little pieces at a time. As I was once asked, how do you eat an elephant? I said, I don't know. The response was, one bite at a time. So, we talk about terminology. We talk about subconscious. We talk about the things we need to layer into our head. Now I have many friends, associates, and people I know throughout the world who have done many things to change. And some of them, they just take to it and it seems to work well. Some join a church. Some are tribal people who do ceremonies which are spiritual. And nothing works better in the world to make changes in all aspects of their life than something like that. Some people join a 12-step program like Alcoholics Anonymous. We'll talk more about that. I have some friends, some actual close friends that are members of a 12-step group like that. And some people will do yoga, some will do meditation, some will do a specific type of yoga or a specific type of meditation. Now, I'm not saying that all of these things are foreign to me, because they're not. If you're prejudiced against these words of church, tribal ceremonies, meditation, yoga, Alcoholics Anonymous, we can talk about this, because this is terminology. That's all it is. I remember walking up to one elder, and we were at a sacred fire, preparing to do ceremony. And I told him, I meditate each day. He says, we don't meditate, we are Lakota. I said, I sit quiet every morning for about 20 minutes or half an hour. This man, whose name is interpreted as stands first, he looks at me and says, oh, that's a good one. I do that. I sit quiet every morning. That's good. And before the ceremony was over, he was using the word meditation. And before it started, he told me that we don't meditate. And then he realized he does. It may be a different form of meditation. It may not even be a formal meditation. He was very prejudiced of the word meditation prior to hearing that. So, what I've learned is that I've had many prejudices against words in my lifetime, against organizations, institutions, things I know nothing about. I've had a conversation with someone recently that kind of inspires this aspect of talking about the prejudice that people have against Alcoholics Anonymous. People who are most prejudiced against Alcoholics Anonymous probably went to a meeting or two, from what I can tell. Speaking to my friends who have done this, they go to a meeting or two, maybe even more. They go for 6 months, maybe even a year. And then they quit. And some of them are just angry and bitter, just like they were before. And they don't need that AA, and they're not going to drink either. And then some people just return to drinking because that AA stuff don't work. I went to some meetings. It don't work. I kind of think that it's something like someone walking into a restaurant, looking at the menu, and leaving and saying, I was hungry when I left that restaurant. That food doesn't even fill you up. It's like, what'd you have to eat? Oh, I didn't eat anything. I just read the menu and I wasn't even full. Well, someone who goes to an AA meeting to get sober, and from talking to people who have decades of recovery under their belt, who are happy people, who have been successful in Alcoholics Anonymous, and this goes for all 12-step programs. I know people in Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, the list goes on and on. I have friends that have attended all of these. And if you're going to go, I will talk about numerous different 12-step programs. I will talk mainly about Alcoholics Anonymous because it's easiest. I have the most friends that attend that particular program. And if you're going to just go to meetings and then think that it doesn't work, and you, from what I've been told, you don't go through the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you don't get a sponsor, you don't work through the 12 steps, you don't begin to sponsor other people, you don't do service work, you don't give of your time, you're not willing to help others, chances are it's like walking into a restaurant, reading the menu, leaving wondering why you're hungry. Because you walked into Alcoholics Anonymous for 6 months, didn't drink for 6 months, you're still angry, and you don't need a sponsor, and you don't need to work through those 12 steps. I read them on the wall, and I've done that. I've listened to those people, and it don't work. And you didn't take the action. You didn't put it into your subconscious. You didn't begin to act your way into a new way of thinking that allowed you to feel different. And then you're going to tell me it didn't work. I'm going to say you didn't work that program, not that that program doesn't work. I've seen it work. I know it works for people. I've seen people very successful change their lives, not drink until the day they die. So I've seen it work for people. And if you're angry and bitter and resentful and walking away from such a program, when you've never participated fully in the program, I suggest that when you read the menu, you start with an appetizer. And you share with everyone at the table with that appetizer. Everyone gets a little taste of that. If there's 2 of you, 4 of you, 6 of you, everyone gets a little taste of that appetizer. And all of a sudden your palate enjoys that. You're sharing with others, you're participating. Then you go to the next course and you indulge a little more. And you get whatever it is that you enjoy eating, you get a little more of it. You start to fill up in a different way. It would be like getting into the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, working with a sponsor, working through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, all 12 steps in order. And then you're starting to layer this into your subconscious. You're starting to treat people different. You're starting to treat yourself different. You're beginning to feel different about who you are. I would encourage you to make sure that you have enough to drink when you're at the restaurant and you stay full with your water, soda, whatever it is that you may be drinking. Soothe the palate along the way. So in other words, make sure that you're going out to these events with people from Alcoholics Anonymous. Are you going out for coffee afterwards, a bite to eat with a couple of people, maybe a sponsor, maybe a sponsee, maybe just a couple of other fellows from the fellowship? Are you indulging in the entire program? None of us are saying that this will work 100%. And if you choose to have a little dessert, maybe an after-dinner mint, maybe a little fruit would be your idea of some sufficient sugar. Maybe you want something nice and rich. And you take your time and you share this meal with whoever you're at the restaurant with. And you walk out. And I will guarantee you will think different and feel different than if you'd have just read the menu and walked out of that restaurant. As if you get all of what's offered in a 12-step program like Alcoholics Anonymous. So the dessert would be working with others. The main course, you worked through the 12 steps with a sponsor, and you also began to fellowship with other people. That was that appetizer at the beginning. And for dessert, you're going to begin to work with others. And you begin to sponsor other people. And you begin to take them through the 12 steps. And at that point, I would like to be able to offer you the idea that it is a lot different than attending a couple of AA meetings, saying, oh, I felt good leaving there. Yeah, that was nice. Oh, wasn't that grand? And trying to just feel a little better. It's not, I understand that people are going to do what they're going to do and they're going to need to go through the process they go through. And I use Alcoholics Anonymous as an example. You could use Narcotics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, or any other of these 12-step programs. And the one thing that you may have to realize going in is that people may have given you a myth at times, not wanting to, about some of these programs. It is not a self-help program. If it was self-help, you'd be able to just go in, get the self-help, walk out, and you have it with you, and therefore you can move through it. If you have a problem that is deep-seated in your subconscious and dictates how you feel, you may need more help, and this is one of them. Therapy may be part of that. Church may be part of that. Ceremonies may be part of that. To each individual is their own path. Yoga is a spiritual path. Meditation, if you're like some people, some of my friends, some people that I know, you may need multiple ones. I know some people that go to church and do ceremony. I know some people that go to 12-step meetings, go to church, and do ceremony. I know people that go to 12-step meetings and do meditation. I know people that do 12-step meetings, do meditation, and yoga. There are many different things that you can layer that can help you to change the way you think to be able to change how you feel. Now I'm throwing some ideas out there. Each one of us is a unique manifestation of Creator. We all have our own journey. I have my beliefs. My convictions are strong. The more you listen to this podcast, the more you'll see who it is I am, how it is I walk. I will be authentic to the best of my ability. I want to be able to get to know my higher self. I will do what it takes to get to know my higher self. Throughout my journey in this lifetime, in this short time that I've been alive, and this short time that I have worked on changing my life, many things have come into play. And I say that because I believe as humans we don't get old. I believe as humans we become elders. I began to make changes in my life when I was 22 years old. So being 55 years old, I hope I have a good start on it. The changes in my life have been layered by many different things, always attempting to change the way I feel in a positive, healthy, human way. Not using outside substances, not using things that will temporarily make me feel better. I want things that will long term make me feel better. Make me feel like I am part of. Make me feel like I am part of a community. Make me feel like I am part of a family. Make me feel like I am one with the person that I'm talking with at that time. I've done things in the past that allow me to feel better at that moment, to escape from the way that I think or the way that I feel, to escape from the thoughts of my past rather than reconciling it. So moving forward, I want to continue to be able to get to know my higher self. I will do that through this podcast. I will do that by reaching out to others. I will do that by helping others. How much help one receives, whether it's through this podcast or anything else, doesn't have to do with me. It has to do with the person that's listening, the person that's participating, and how much they open their mind or their ears and allow the deities that they believe in to come into their life. So it's not coming from me. It may come through me. If you have that belief, I can appreciate that. It is about what you're willing to do. Do you really want to change? Or an example that I appreciate. Or are you just trying to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound? You're just trying to make it look a little better right now? Or do you really want to change something permanently? If you want to change something permanently, I suggest that you continue to listen to these podcasts. Figure out what it is that you can do to be able to move forward, to get to know your higher self. To learn to appreciate yourself for who you are. Because sometimes some of the things that we do just aren't going to change overnight. It's going to be a slow process. And that's okay. Because tomorrow, I will feel different than I did today. And I'm going to feel different because of what I did today. So if you want to feel better tomorrow, take the action today to be able to think different today. So when you wake up tomorrow, your thinking was different than it was when you woke up today, and you will feel better tomorrow than you did today. Maybe it has to do with being kind to someone, being gentle, being generous, being of service. Do something for someone else today and don't tell anyone. Just do something kind for someone else and see how that makes you feel tomorrow. There are many different things that will dictate how we feel. As much as anything, it's the way we think about it. More than anything else. Little things will come in and change it so it feels like it's other things. And when we change how we think, we change how we feel. Our subconscious is so strong. It is amazing. Many of us have done this, and I'll use this for an example. You're looking at a drink next to you, and you're thinking about that drink, and you pick up what's in front of you and take a drink, and something's not right, and you cannot even taste the flavor of whatever it is you're drinking because you're looking at something else, you have something else in your mind, and it just doesn't come together. Your conscious mind is trying to overrule something, and yet the action that you're taking doesn't quite compute either. So, I think about drinking carbonated water. Actually, I'm thinking about the action of drinking carbonated water. And at that same time, thinking about a hot cup of coffee because it's kind of cold out. And I would like a nice warm cup of black coffee. And when I drink that carbonated water, something just isn't right. We don't compute all the time. As you begin to change the way that you think, by changing what you're doing, it will not always compute. Things are going to be garbled up. Changing the way you think isn't easy. It may take time. You know, I was talking about some course of action that we could take, different things for different people. I get that. Talk therapy is a great addition to any of these things for many people. For some people, they don't have the right connection, they don't have the right therapist, they don't have the ability to be honest about what's going on. So for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't work out all that great. I get it. It's never always one thing if it doesn't work out. It's generally speaking, a combination of things. And my point to this is, you could try many of these different things, and when you first start, it's going to be like drinking that carbonated water and thinking about that hot cup of coffee. Something's not going to compute. Not quite going to taste like coffee. It doesn't quite taste like the carbonated water. Something is off. That's kind of the way it's going to feel. It may be a little uncomfortable. I love the example I heard one time. Someone says, I have these friends talking about a 12-step meeting. And one of them said, was telling this, they call them newcomers. He's telling a newcomer, why don't you go to a meeting where you're comfortable? And the other old timer says, you don't need to find a meeting where you're comfortable. I was comfortable on a bar stool. I don't need to be comfortable in an AA meeting. And what he was conveying to the young man was that it may be a little uncomfortable hearing the things you're going to hear. taking suggestions from this podcast and doing something different may be a little uncomfortable. Doesn't mean it won't be good for you. It doesn't mean it won't be life-changing. What it means is that being a little uncomfortable making changes is normal. You go to the doctor, schedule surgery, you go in for surgery. The doctor does everything they need to fix the problem. You're out of work for a few days. You come home, you're uncomfortable. You're doing what you can to become comfortable. And a month later, you feel better than you felt in years. Being a little uncomfortable is okay. It's going to happen in the process of changing. When you went in to get that surgery, and some of what you were waiting for, you thought you were real uncomfortable, so you needed the surgery. And you became used to some of that uncomfortability, so you're not sure if you want it. And then after the surgery, you're really uncomfortable. It wasn't this uncomfortable because you got used to being uncomfortable with what the problem was in your body. And now, you're really uncomfortable, and this just isn't worth it. And a month or two later, after physical therapy, 3 or 4 months later, whatever it may be, you feel better than you've ever felt. It's the process of change. So if it happens to your physical body, it will probably also happen as you're doing this. When you begin to change the way you think, it will be uncomfortable. Your palate won't make sense of it right away. That's all okay. Actually, it's good. Because you will be uncomfortable for a period of time as you're getting to know yourself, as you're getting to know your higher self, as you're doing what you need to do, like doing physical therapy after that surgery, you may be a little uncomfortable doing it. It may be hard. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. You know, I used an example earlier about going to a restaurant, reading the menu, and leaving being hungry. Go to the gym, watch people, work out, leave, and tell me you get nothing out of going to the gym. I go there every day. I watch people work out every day, and I get nothing out of it. That's what you can do here. You can listen, take no action, do nothing different, just observe, and not change a thing. And it will not work for you. If you're willing to take the action to do different things, and I get that everyone's life is different, so what you're going to have to do on a daily basis, you may have to try a couple different things to begin to change the way you think in taking different action. And as you take different action, you will begin to think different. You may be a little uncomfortable, and you will begin to feel different. So if you want to feel a lot different, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now than what you've ever felt in your life, continue to make the changes. And to continue to make the changes, you're going to have to start. So going forward, we will continue to talk about the same things we've talked about up to this point. We will bring in some new ideas slowly. We will layer them in and see where we can go to change how we feel about ourselves, about others, about institutions, about our work, about the ones we love, and about the ones that love us. Can we feel different about them? Yes, we can. Will we feel different when we take the action to change our thinking? It is a guarantee we will feel different. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world.